Controversial comments made by the U.S. military's top commander in Afghanistan in a Rolling Stone magazine article has landed him in a lot of trouble. So much so he's been summoned to the White House to do some explaining. Now the Pentagon is saying General McChrystal has prepared a letter of resignation, but that doesn't mean it's the end. So joining me now to analyze the future implications this firestorm could have on the war effort is Marlowe. She's a visiting scholar at the Hudson Institute. And so, as I mentioned, there is a letter of resignation floating around. But, of course, U.S. President Barack Obama and the U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert Gates have to accept the resignation first, or they're they're welcome to fire him as well. So, what can we expect from this upcoming meeting between all three?
Well, I am rather hoping that Obama does decide to accept the letter of resignation. I think it would be good news for our war in Afghanistan. I have really been searching over this last day to try to find a metric which shows that General Stanley McChrystal has achieved success in his year here. And I failed to find anything except a raise in the pay of the Afghan National Police and Army. That's been a good thing. It has increased recruitment, although attrition has just about wiped out most of those gains. But beyond that, it's really a struggle to find a way in which he's made a difference. And he has far more men in Afghanistan, far more American troops than his predecessor.
You know, some people are calling McChrystal a hero for venting his frustration about this war, and the tedious setbacks with Kandahar and Marja, and, the bureaucracy, of course, in Washington. So why do you see he's trying to do a lot of this? I mean, what do you make of his statements, and do you think he has alternative motives in voicing a lot of the things that he did so far in this article?
I'm very surprised. For somebody who speaks of a war of perceptions constantly, who always refers to the importance of perception, to me, the remarks that he allowed to appear in print show an amazing lack of judgment. I don't know how to explain it. I would say that at the best, we have someone who, as he himself admitted, committed an error of judgment in this article. At the worst, I think we have someone whose behavior in the last year has shown shaky judgments and a poor grasp of the reality on the ground in Afghanistan. I mean, I think his worst call was embracing President Karzai and President Karzai's family and basically combating the good advice that Ambassador and former General Eikenberry gave to the Secretary of State back in November. That was, again, General and Ambassador Eikenberry's memo to Hillary Clinton saying that President Karzai is an unreliable partner for American forces in Afghanistan, and that we will not be able to achieve progress as long as he's around. And instead, McChrystal pushed back against that and almost defiantly has gone overboard in embracing Karzai, and in fact the whole Karzai family.
So, does it seem as though he did have intentions for this article? And you also mentioned the disconnect between Eikenberry, Clinton, Obama, and McChrystal. Could there be a breakdown then in the war effort in Afghanistan? And does it seem as though McChrystal, who's very well known for his work in Iraq, the father of special operations, drone attacks, of course he was very controversial with the Tillman killing as well, friendly fire. Does it seem as though he's trying to run the show here? He's trying to say, the White House is incompetent, they don't know what they're doing, I'm the military man, and this is my frustration. Does it seem as though he's maybe even trying to cop out of this if the war isn't going anywhere?
Well, it's his fault that the war isn't going anywhere. He's the theater commander. The Marja offensive was his idea. The Kandahar offensive was his idea. I don't think that he can really point a finger at this point. These were his choices. And basically, if he's going to spend his time in political infighting rather than in achieving results on the ground, I think he has to take the consequences. It probably wasn't a very good idea to alienate Ambassador Eikenberry. He's also attacked Ambassador Holbrooke. These are both very experienced men. Basically, attacking the Vice President of the United States in an article in a popular culture magazine doesn't seem to show much respect for the office or the appropriate gravitas that we would expect from a theater commander.
So what do you predict could be the future for McChrystal at this point? I mean, it's been a huge part. It's been a firestorm in Washington since news of the article came out. Do you imagine that they will switch generals this far into President Obama's strategy? I mean, they still don't have 9,000 of the 30,000 troops on the ground, and as you mentioned, Kandahar is still in limbo, and this was supposed to be a major operation for victory. Where are they at this point? I mean, does it seem as though they could be close to conceding and saying this thing's not working, and the generals really don't know what they're doing? Neither, for that part, they don't know either.
Well, I don't think the fact that 9,000 men have not arrived yet is really neither here nor there. I was opposed to the surge, for example, to begin with. I don't think that's the answer in Afghanistan. I don't think the war is unwinnable, but I don't think that more troops are the way to win it. I think that was a mistake on McChrystal's part. I think that Obama probably bowed to that because of his relative inexperience in foreign policy, and particularly in dealing with military matters. He might well, at this point, be listening to his advisors. I don't think that he himself will probably have a strong take on what should be done next. I do think that Vice President Biden is probably gunning for McChrystal at this point. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that resignation accepted. After all, General McChrystal was relieved a year ago for basically having done nothing as controversial. And arguably, the results that General McChrystal has obtained in the past year are inferior to the results that General McChrystal has attained.
Well, that's a wrap from our New York studios. Anne Marlowe, she's a visiting scholar at the Hudson Institute.